Hold on, did Jim Jones's rap career just end on live television thanks to Shannon Sharpe? Because it wasn't simply shade that occurred throughout the live stream. The funeral was conducted entirely online. Shannon Sharpe, who is well known for standing up for LeBron like he's his second cousin, is now going right for Dipset's pride in the rap ring. Jim, like open mic night in a roasting contest, stepped straight into it. It all happened after a heated confrontation on Club Shay Shaw when Shannon gave Jimmy the cold shoulder and spoke the now famous statement, "My buddy, you don't even make the NS Top 10. Boom. Twitter took off. There was silence in the barbershop. And since this wasn't just a disc, the timing hasn't recovered. Shannon Sharpe made it known to Jim Jones that he wasn't even deserving of a mention in the realm of greats. What, then, caused this nuclear incident? For what reason did Shannon, of all persons, come to Jim in this manner? What role does nausea play in all of this? This issue is much deeper than you may imagine, so buckle up. So, bang. Imagine this. Sitting in his throne at Club Shay and doing what he does best, Shannon is wearing a crisp suit and crispy glasses. Unapologetic shadow and a dash of southern class stir the stew. Innocently enough, the conversation began. Top 10 lists, hip-hop arguments, and the typical barber hop banter. The vibes are familiar to you. However, everything changed when Jim Jones appeared. Like he was going to deliver scripture, Shannon leaned forward, took a leisurely sip from that glass, and murmured something so frigid that the internet went silent. "You don't even rank in N's top 10. Jim, keep it a buck, please." Remember, Jim Jones wasn't even present. That didn't matter, though, because that one statement had the effect of a poetic guillotine. Instant firestorm on Twitter. Podcast snippets appeared on all platforms within minutes. But let's not act like this happened overnight. One admirer captioned the video, "Shannon just folded Jimmy like a mixtape in 2004. Another said, "Bro got bodied on a podcast by a former tight end. This wasn't arbitrary. Years of repressed anxiety, illusion, and unbridled clout chasing culminated in this." You see, Jim Jones exhibits this behavior. Every few months, he puts on some shades, slicks back his braids, and declares himself to be in the top 5. Where are the top 5? We're not sure. Harlem's top 5? Perhaps. The top 5 Dipset members? Perhaps. And even that is debatable. This moment with Shannon wasn't spontaneous, so let's go back in time. It was the culmination of a long-running slow-motion vehicle accident. NAS is simply the most recent trigger. In an interview from 2022, Jim claimed that NAS had no bearing on young people, for all the wrong reasons. The quote went viral. Memes depicted him as a man who was making an excessive effort to remain in the debate. Blogs made fun of him, and fans ridiculed him. Did he back down? Though he doubled down, no. He made another attempt months later, this time, stating, "He's lovely, but he doesn't have any hits in the clubs." Bro, are you trying to minimize and say man with classics that inspired generations in order to promote Dipset Deluxe vinyls? Jim Jones is talking about club bangers like it's still 2005. Others said on Instagram. It wasn't merely criticism when Shannon brought it up on Club Shaw, it was Judgment Day. He stated, "We're talking about Nas, a man who wrote Illmatic, when some of you wear him still having trouble writing a rhymed verse. And Jim thinks he can see that man?" he asked, turning to face the camera. "Come on, man. Jimmy is nice, but let's not get ahead of ourselves." That paragraph alone set the internet on fire. Another tape featured Shannon with nausea instrumentals playing in the background as Jim's visage gradually faded to black and white. YouTube responders wasted no time in making their videos. One guy named his video, "Shannon Sharpe ends Jim Jones live and unfiltered." It was humorous, but it wasterable, and fans were there for it all. Now, here's where it got even stranger. Jim Jones went live on Instagram shortly after the video went viral in an attempt to respond. But instead of resolving the issue, he made things worse. "I respect Shannon, but he has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to rap," he stated. "He loves football. I've done more for the streets than Nas ever did," he continued. Dude, let's speak about reality, not fiction. Ballin' had the same impact as one mic, and fans were dumping LS like it was a clearance sale. Bro, you're not even the best in Dipset. You're talking about with a basketball court. This man truly tried to correlate street presence with legendary status. In your living room. You had memes, Nas, won Grammys, and media outlets joined in, creating fake headlines and a debate between Shannon Sharpe and Jim Jones about who truly defines hip-hop. Jones continues to probe. but Nausea remains silent, which only made things worse since. Let's face it, nothing says, "I'm above this," like seeing your name be dragged without even flinching. As Jim continued to talk, memes all over the place depicted NS drinking tea on a throne with Jim's livestream playing in the background. While another caption read, "Nas is in a whole new league and Jimmy tries to sneak inside changing area." Oh, Shannon wasn't finished. He went even further in a different part, saying, "We mistake being loud for being legendary. Screaming does not automatically result in bars." He wasn't mentioning names, but his meaning was clear to everybody. Nas can rap about the system, about the struggle, about legacy, he went on. Some people only rap about their lean and clothes. The comments section went crazy. Jim and Shannon cook with 8th side. Compared to Jimmy's previous 3 records, UNCC lost more bars. Imagine being bodied by a suit-clad retired football player. To top it all off, Benzo added his voice. He did, of course. Because Benzo loves one thing beyond all others. Adding oneself to other people's flame wars is more than just theater. I told you all that, Jimmy, because Shannon just said something too sophisticated to say. He tweeted, "Now that Benzano, of all people, is posing as the guardian of rap culture." It somehow made the whole thing funnier. Fans were now pleading with Nas to answer. The craze was #DropVeer. People were saying things like, "Give us one bar, just one, make it Light Ether Jr. style. Just breathe on the mic, don't even rhyme." However, there was still no word from Nas, which made Jimmy appear even more desperate. "Don't even look your way when you throw punches," and the legend, people said, "You realize you're punching shadows at that point." Just when we thought things couldn't get worse, Jim Jones was now stranded, buried in memes, clowned by a Hall of Famer, ignored by Nas, and roasted by the very followers he thought would ride with him. As a result, by the time he attempted and failed to defend himself on Instagram Live, the internet had already began writing his digital obituary. Let's not mince words. This was not your typical rap debate. Rather, it was a campaign of public humiliation, with Shannon Sharpe as the match and the fans as the fuel. When Jimmy said, "I've done more for the streets than Nas ever did," it was over. Reddit was flooded with threads headed Jim Jones, the case study, and clout over culture. Nas disregarded him, and Shannon followed Ether's lead without hesitation. However, this is when things took a completely wrong turn and became insane. We soar high because, as usual, when a celebrity feud gets viral, the internet starts fabricating false proof more quickly than Jimmy can speak. A purported leak surfaced, a purported text exchange between Shannon Sharpe and Nas. Of course, it was a hoax, but so what? The screenshots read, "He's not worth a verse, fam," because people go with it when it's nasty. Saying his name gave him too much. Escobar is the sender name that was just saved. Bro got Nas, saved like a drug lord. Fans said, accountant. One person said, Nas, sending cryptic messages while sipping red wine in silence. And Twitter laughed it up, as if it were scripture. Jim Jones rants on Instagram for 9 minutes. However, it didn't end there, since the phony voice then appeared. Take note. Yes, exactly. Nas purportedly said, "Jimmy wants attention. I want peace. That's why I don't respond to noise. I just don't live it." In a substantially artificial intelligence, AI manipulated audio recording that started making the rounds. It's obviously robotic, obviously phony. But was anyone interested? Not at all. Under the sound name Nas Speaks, Legend Vibes, it began to gain popularity on TikTok. Individuals were utilizing it, for music is played subtly in the background of sketches, edits, and even phony tribute videos using dips. When NS surpasses you without using a pen, look at the caption that went viral. Then the memes appeared. One had a split-screen image of Jim Jones calmly ranting on both Live and NS. In a gold robe, meditating while burning incense. Additionally, there was a photoshopped image of the Dipset logo at a museum with a sign underneath that said, "Retired exhibit last seen relevant in 2007. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse. Fictitious lawsuits started to appear in the discussion. A Twitter account, posing as according to Hip Hop Insider TV, the Jim Jones label intended to sue Shannon Sharpe for publicly disparaging the company's reputation. Of course, it was a hoax, but once more, the fun was in the mayhem. The phrase from the phony legal document that was being around read, "Mr. Sharpe's remarks seriously affected our client's capacity to be." Then came the so-called PR backlash. One user retorted, Jim suing Shannon for telling the truth is like suing mirrors for showing your face. Taken seriously in the genre of hip-hop, a phony screen grab that purportedly showed Dipset's own public relations staff releasing a statement, separating themselves from Jim's remarks. Dipset values hip-hop legacy. Individual comments from members do not reflect the group's official stance. Brr, that had the internet thinking Dipset was done. People were tweeting, Dipset done, broke. Even Cameron reportedly enjoyed posting, that read, Nas doesn't have to drop a verse when Jimmy drops himself. You'd think Jim would stop talking, but he couldn't stop talking about nah. Regroup. Take a step back. Then Jim Jones doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down. He went live again, yes. Another Instagram live with a cigar in his hand. Dipset memorabilia in the backdrop. And I am not angry, that signature reads. He continued, you're not going to play me. I'm a legend. I changed fashion in this game. I made pink wool. His tone was so intense that it shouted, you're definitely mad. I introduced the world to Harlem. Commenters said, bro, I believe he created colors. We're talking about music, not clothes. Jimmy, you introduced Harlem to the world, but Nas introduced the culture to the world, and then the part 2 of Shannon Clapback aired. Shannon Sharp, smiling and stress-free, remarked in a new episode that he delivered Harlem to the world. While everyone else isn't even looking at his Spotify, oof, he continued. And then the dagger Nas doesn't just make music. He stops time. Jimmy makes noise and calls it anthems. Look, I appreciate hustling, but when it comes to this thing called legacy, you have to learn when to stop barking blindly and learn when to stop. Fans were losing it. Shannon was vomiting out more information than half of the XXL freshmen. Jim was losing a battle with a ghost, and just when you thought things were leveling out, professors jumped in. Yes, DJ academics. He went live, shaking his head like a disgruntled dad. Jim had a job at Say Nothing, but he decided to use violence. And a sports pundit with better bars than his mixtape slapped him. He further added, I asked ChatGPT to list 5 error. Song not found appeared when I tried to play Jim Jones classics. Fans began creating playlists with the titles, What Jim Thinks He Sounds Like, What Nas Actually Sounds Like, Dipset Dreams, Ether Nightmares. And it was complete chaos. At this point, the conflict between Jim and Naja began. It was a digital carnage, not even a beef anymore, and the cherry on top was a TikTok craze. The sound was a slowed-down rendition of Shannon stating, you're not even in N's top 10. The pattern, individuals est wing mirrors, individuals tossing CDs of Dipsets into garbage cans. A man setting a pink bandana on fire with the comment, the days of my Dipset era are over. When you realize Jim ain't, Shannon captioned a TikTok of a child feigning a crime while hurling his Tim Hortons at the wall. Not to mention his list, the top 10 in N contacts. Jimmy should have just said Peace King, Benzo stated in a subsequent Instagram post. Logged out. Now, notice how individuals have begun locating old dipping set film, old freestyles, anything to further undermine Jim. To be fair, Jim is talented, but when the meme machine is primed, the internet doesn't care about subtleties. One user said, this man went from ballin' to falling every 48 hours. Another Jim tries to justify himself. Nas remained silent for hours, which is worse than the first comments. And that, my man, is power. Because a legend's silence is more powerful than 1,000 podcasts, live streams, and pink band. However, just when you think the damage is finished, part 3 comes in full force, complete with fictitious press conferences, a rumor of a Shannon Sharp XN Nas collaboration, and the ultimate humiliation that even Jimmy's supporters couldn't justify. By this point, Jim Jones wasn't just popular. He was protagonist of a public demise story that continued to spin out of control quicker than anybody could have predicted. If you thought the internet was done making fun of him, you should think again, because the last nail wasn't just around the corner, it was going to be hammered live. Let's go back to that enigmatic tweet stating, Nas X Shannon versus is coming soon, from a verified burner account. Completely phony, but it caused a stir among enthusiasts. Social media was inundated with fake postings asking, hold up, did Shannon Sharp really secure a collaboration with Naja before Jim Jones even got a reply? Media, Shannon in a rag. A black and white picture of Naja, standing side by side beneath the tagline, bars don't hit as hard as silence. What was Jimmy's action? He went live once more. Yes, once more. Second time from an upscale studio attempting to demonstrate that he was too preoccupied with earning money to be bothered by the accusations. He was unaware, however, that Twitter had already planned a funeral. In a matter of seconds, people started responding to the typical, "While his career is being incinerated, this bro is trying to show off. No one wants the music, even if he has a studio." Then the greatest embarrassment in the whole story occurred. Suddenly, an aide phony appeared. An expertly crafted spoof video of Nas passing a reporter on the red carpet appeared. "Nas, any words for Jim Jones?" The reporter asks. "Who?" Nas asks, smiling and nodding. The clip is a complete fabrication, but it seemed so authentic that fans were enthralled. "It's chilly. That's how a single word can destroy someone." Thanos merely nodded and snapped at Jimmy. Additionally, the phony FZUS flyers continued to stir things up, just as the memes were beginning to settle down. Individuals started making up lineups: Silence versus Nausea winner, Feel Sick, Jim Jones versus Twitter's Jim's Ego winner, Shannon Sharp versus anyone stupid enough to dissin. Of course, Timberland even included an emoji of laughter beneath one of the phony versus flyers, no longer even attempting to be precise. The story had fallen apart into utter pandemonium. Jim's last livestream was the title of a fake YouTube podcast that received thousands of views. Jim was seen holding a Dipset chain in one phony thumbnail with the caption, "When clout chasing. A case study on goes wrong." The phony press conference followed. The actor portraying Jim Jones is seen standing at a podium in a spoof press conference video, saying, "I'd like to apologize to Nas, hip-hop culture, and my Wi-Fi provider, for all the recent confusion." It became a goldmine of reaction videos, thanks to fans. Videos with laugh tracks, funeral music, and even gospel choirs were created from clips of the fictitious press conference. A phony DJ hint was posted alongside the comment, "This man needs witness protection from the internet," according to the leak. Jim tried to speak with Nas privately, but was ignored by Reed. According to a different leak, Jimmy DM'd Shannon Sharp, requesting a seat. And Shannon left him there. It was an emotional, spiritual, and digital humiliation. Then, people began to perceive Dipset's silence as a sign of remoteness. Cameron did not publicly support it. Joel Santana offered no defense. No posts of solidarity from the past. Nothing. It was referred to be the tranquil exit by the streets. False reports, stated at a party, Cameron told someone, "I've grown up enough to stop chasing shadows." He has an issue with his studies, don't you think? The fans went crazy over it, whether it was genuine or not. A Cameron remark was even put onto the cover of a Nas record. He won this using only gifts and no pen. It was cruel. Shannon Sharp's stocks soared at the same time. With the caption, "Not top 10, huh?" He shared a brief video of himself drinking tea. The comments section was a battleground. "You didn't even try to end a rapper. For a silence, Nas ought to give you credit for corporating. Ballin felt like background noise because of you." Then the phony sponsorships appeared. Ads, featuring Shannon and Nas in Nike commercials with the words "class never" were shared by fans. Breaks down. Legends reverberate rather than scream. Ads for bogus fragrance even appeared. Nas's Ether, the aroma of heritage. Jimmy's mid-tier, the aroma of despair. Products came after without a verse. People printed shirts with Shannon x Nas checked. Jim is silent but lethal. Jim Jones' authentic music, on the other hand, was lost in the devastation caused by algorithms. A YouTuber fabricated a reply video with the title following Shannon's roast. "Listening to Jim Jones. I'm not capable of that." Spotify memes ensued, as others laughed, paused, and said, "Yeah, this aged like milk in the desert." His monthly listeners were displayed in a phony screenshot. 0.50% decrease with a banner stating that relevancy was not accessible. The phony industry backlash followed. According to a widely circulated bogus report, a Def Jam official said that Jim's act caused anxiety in labels. No one desires to argue with a ghost. According to a phony producer's tweet, sending those beats to quiet. He dissed Nausea after we were going to deliver him beats. Even A&R pages began to publish. First rule, don't disparage legends. The second rule is unquestionably, when they're not even looking, don't make fun of them. The supporters now concurred. Bars didn't defeat Jim. The hardest disk wasn't a track. Therefore he lost to non-response. There was no podcast. Itchin' and Sharp wasn't even there. Nas was doing nothing at all. That week, the entire civilization gained knowledge. You have the potential to go viral. If you choose the wrong poetic tree, you will become enmeshed in its roots. Even if you are able to trend, hip-hop legend, Grammy winner, and quiet assassin Nas is in one corner. In the other, Jim Jones was having his retirement party online and yelling into space. And the legacy, well, it was written beforehand. Nausea did not change. Jim Jones turned into a warning story. As well as Shannon Sharpe, he ended up serving as the unanticipated narrator of one of the most amusing, hilarious, and pettiest phony quarrel sagas hip-hop has ever requested. However, it's clear that this story isn't about who dropped the sexiest song. Who dropped the microphone without even taking it up is the question. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how one man was buried by stillness after barking into the emptiness. Therefore, despite all of the smoke, phony disclosures, and digital destruction, the question still stands. Did Jim Jones simply end his career in real life? In how not to check a living legend, was this a master last? Jim, let's face it, attempted to compete with a poetic god who didn't even need to appear. Nas didn't gaze in his direction, didn't sneer at him. Nevertheless, he managed to win the battle. The most deadly diss track was silence. The unintentional hype man turned out to be Shannon Sharpe. Like the ghost of a mixtape's past, Benzano Bro appeared and began delivering verbal obituaries. We would like to hear from you now. Though. Was this the decade's most embarrassing rap misstep? Will Jim Jones recover from this roast at the nuclear level? Or has his legacy been reduced to a meme hidden beneath AI leaks, phony billboards, and deleted direct messages? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Just facts, or bogus ones, without any filter. We're not particular. And you know what to do if this lyrical train crash is as entertaining to you as it is to us. As Jim smacked his own relevancy, like this video, hit the subscribe button, and slap that bell. We do more than merely report the news on our channel. We create it with a great deal of smoke, irony, and style. Keep an eye out, stay dirty, and keep in mind that in the realm of hip-hop drama, the new ether is silence. Additionally, Jim Greatness just ghosted me.